live.
Yep, there it is on Facebook. There it is. Alright, let's double check everywhere else. Hello, Internet. If you can hear me, okay, we're good on YouTube?
You should have like a starting soon thing coming on your intro.
Yeah, I do need a starting soon thing and a way to like make sure our audio is cut here. But no, we are good everywhere. All right, Christian, run that fucking intro.
Blank all night, acted all alright.
They told me for years there was no money in podcasting. Well, they were all wrong.
This is an Ambiguous Podcast Solutions original podcast. A podcast, years in the making.
Centered around
You're listening to Talking with Tarashuk, with your host and founder of Ambiguous Podcast Solutions, Will Tarashuk. Join Will and his guests as they talk about anything and everything under the sun.
I say this all the time.
Now,
Everything needs
without
to be
further
everywhere.
ado, let's do
Always.
this.
Yes, I know I have gray hair.
And welcome everyone. Ricky, I did that just for you, buddy. The old
I
King
figured,
Rickie
oh,
intro.
God.
My name is Will Tarashuk. This is the Talking with Tarashuk podcast, and we are live, L-I-V-E, and in color across 2 YouTube channels, 2 Twitch channels, and I believe a Facebook. So that is all very exciting. If you are going to join us in the chat, or if you're going to join us after the chat, after we are live, submit your questions in the chat down below, and I'll make sure they get answered eventually, as long as they don't suck. If it's your first time here, this is the Unnamed Nonsense edition with myself, the man behind the board, Christian Wright, and my guest today, King Rickie Rozay, from the Kings of the Rings podcast. You can put Christian, you can put that on the tri-screen right now, because we're going to get right into this shit. So, Ricky.
Yes, sir.
My friend, thanks for being here. I know we said a long time in the Kings of the Rings podcast we were going to do this, but I'm glad today is finally the day.
Yeah, it is finally the day. I mean, also, GM of Wrestling Radio, where Kings of the Rings podcast can also be found. It is really funny because you keep on taking pretty much everybody else from Wrestle Addict Radio, and you finally got to me as your last person.
Hey, man, main event's got to come on sometime.
That is very true. That is very true. Too bad your main event took like 3 months.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we've been a lot of shit going on here. So,
Fair.
Christian, I don't know if you remember, but a few weeks ago, we kind of talked a lot of shit when named part of the episode, my friend Ricky, because Ricky and I do a post show on Kings of the Rings podcast, which streams live every Wednesday night, 8 o'clock.
Okay.
That's true.
What's the name of it?
Kings of the Rings podcast.
Kings of the Rings.
It's my baby. It's my first podcast. We're doing it for 8 years this February. So that's
That he gave to me.
That I gave
like 3 years ago.
I did hand over to Ricky. Ricky is now in
All right.
charge.
Pass the baton.
Yeah, I had to pass the baton. I'm glad I did because it's a burden off my back. I just got to go on and have fun, so it's great. But after the show, we had our post show with top tier Taquan. Shout out to Taquan.
Yeah, shout out to Taquan. Taquan's the man.
And we played Is It Racist?
Oh, yes. Okay, I remember what we're talking about.
So
We played it multiple times. Kate never gets involved.
we did. So we actually covered both times on this podcast.
We covered
Ricky.
2 different things, I think.
Different
You
things.
asked me, is it racist?
Yeah, that's
You're
what-
like, Christian, you're black, you're Puerto Rican. That counts for something. Is it racist?
Count for something. So Ricky, I don't know if you heard the whole episode of what you heard, but
No, I saw the TikTok clip
perfect.
today,
So
this
just
morning.
TikTok clip. All right, so I'll let you rebut. We're not going to go back and forth, and we're going to let Sleeping Dogs live from there. But
Well, why don't you, talk about, tell the audience what the question was.
what the question was? So the question was, well, the first one was about Clarence Thomas doing blackface. No, not Clarence Thomas doing blackface. A black kid making his skin darker to look like Clarence Thomas. And the question was, is it racist?
Yeah.
The other one was the firing of Minneapolis teachers. They were firing the white teachers first when the union agreed to it. And they didn't base it off tenure. They based it off equity. And they wanted their
No, but you have to be specific. Racial color equity, not.
Yes, color equity.
You know what I mean?
So they want their teachers to be more representative of their student body.
Of a student population,
Right,
yeah.
which-
this one we didn't really argue about. We argued about the Clarence Thomas one.
We did argue about the Clarence Thomas one because I was just like at that point, Ricky, I was like, okay, we're gonna talk about this. We're just gonna throw out the definition of racism because we're not going to agree on it. But that is what you rebutted to on the TikTok video when I pretty much said that I just disagree with the power structure definition when it comes to racism, which you do not. And you're going to eloquate your point better than I can. So please, what do you got to say about this topic? The floor is yours.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So I know what first started our initial conversation with the Clarence Thomas thing. He said, "Is racist?" And I said, "It's not racist. It's more colorist than anything." Which I know Christian spoke on like on another episode as well, because I also did see that clip as well where you talked about
highest
colorism.
rated video, by the way.
Of course it is.
By far. By far. By far, dude.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And I said, clearly by definition, Black people can't be racist. I know your argument was that, it sounds like it's, being defeatist and victim blaming. And to that I say, and don't take this the wrong way, but like, you can't tell the oppressed how to feel about the oppressor.
Correct.
Number one.
No,
Number two, when you look from an English language perspective, ism connotes system. So racism inherently is a systemic problem. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, you could define racism, or I define racism, and it is in a dictionary definition of racism as socio-political and economic systems by the dominant race using those systems to oppress lower minority races, essentially. And so by that definition, I say, yes, Black people cannot be racist. They can be prejudiced, and racism and prejudice are different. More so, again, focusing on the ism, meaning it's systemic. Prejudice and people being prejudiced or discriminatory doesn't necessarily have to be systemic. Racism inherently, by definition, that I use is systemic.
Really put me in a box here.
Yeah, okay.
It's like by the definition.
I'll give one.
That was very well put.
It was very well put. I told you, man.
Yeah,
Ricky's fucking smart. He's a smart guy, and he's very well spoken.
He used the definitions.
I will say systemically, I would say you're correct. It is very, very difficult, if not in the current state, impossible for systemically someone who is not white to be racist to a white person. Systemically, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think that's very hard to find an example of, if not impossible.
Really? It's hard to find a systemic racism.
No, I'm saying for the other way around. The other way around.
Oh, you mean for
a minority to do against a white person?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh yeah. It's definitely very, very hard to find an example.
I was like, I can pull out 10 for you right now.
I could find multiple, but I believe there's a broader definition than just systemic. And one way this guy put on me on TikTok with Century is just like, yeah, there's systemic and there's also name calling.
If somebody says a racial slur, you're gonna say that's not racist. You're gonna, like in that example, you can't really throw the definition of in context to it being systemic. You can say a racist thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And like for the example of the I guess what you're saying is the distinction is between what you're calling it. So like the example of like the teachers being fired for being white, that's kind of racist, but I guess you would call that discrimination as opposed to
yes, I would
racism based off the systemic context of it's not systemic. But in that example, it is kind of systemic because I don't know the specifics. Will, if it was a public school system or if it was an individual school.
I believe it was public.
So that is the school system in that town. In a way, I mean, not even in a way, oppressing, white teachers. It sounds hilarious, but
you'd have to analyze the system,
right?
I feel like you'd have to analyze the system to get a more base. Like, is it to get to the true core? Like,
I guess
is this
for
really
you,
racist?
Is it the reason behind it? Like, is it a racist reason? Is it just motivated by hate? But in that example that Will was talking about with the teachers, it's not motivated by hate. It's motivated by racial.
There's no need to
teachers.
oppress. Yeah.
Right.
So I kind of get what you're saying. I still don't think it's right, to fire teachers just because they're white.
I think it's a funky situation the way that it reads. That's why I really want to get to the nitty gritty.
I mean, because these people, they're people.
Yeah.
They're out of work just based off them being white.
Well, they're gonna
instead of no colors, it's like no whites. No whites here.
They're gonna sue someone and they're gonna win big.
They're gonna win.
The thing in that particular instance for me that got me thrown for a loop was the union. The fact that the union agreed to it.
That's why I'm wondering how is it explained to the union and what what kind of under the table agreements were made before this came out.
Yeah. Because if I'm a teacher, do I sue the union or the school or both?
Are you eliminating people based on, because if you have tenure, it's really hard to get rid of them.
Right. I don't know. They said tenure didn't matter.
Oh yes, okay, I remember that.
That was
now.
part of the agreement. Tenure didn't
I do
matter.
remember that now. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's weird. We could go back and forth all day and look into it, but this podcast is going to be so much more of this random ridiculousness. Rickie,
Yeah.
I'm glad you got to air your piece.
We're live. We're live, right?
We are
Will?
live.
We are live. Yeah.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I love talking about race with Rickie because at the end of the day, it's fun. And I know there's only one thing I can say to make us not be friends anymore. I'm not going to cross that line.
yeah, pretty much. So, yeah.
I feel like
as long as
it's political.
Yeah. No, as long as you learn something from me and you get gain like maybe a broader perspective on things, I've done my job.
Yeah, no, and that's why I like talking to you about a lot of different things because I appreciate your perspective because, like I've said multiple times, you are a college-educated, master's level, very intelligent, wise person that I can talk to with pretty much anything about, and I would get a unique perspective.
What was your what was your master? Well, what was your education?
I'll tell you. I got a bachelor's degree. I got a bachelor's of science in psychology from Towson University.
Nice.
And master's in mental health counseling, master's of the arts in mental health counseling from Hofstra University.
So psychology,
right. So that can be used in pretty much any conversation.
I like.
I was guessing maybe.
What's up?
Are we? Yeah, we're good.
Oh yeah,
I thought I heard a dropout. I was thinking political science, or something like that, because
no, I knew.
But psychology is like another one of those things where you tend to have a deep perspective and.
Psychology is a pseudoscience. It's a soft science. It's not going to be. There's nothing. In psychology and counseling in general, there's nothing really concrete. There's many different ways to help somebody who's mentally ill, and you just got to find what works for the person. You also got to find what techniques work for you. So I'm always trying to learn and grasp different things, and I also have a varied an eclectic group of friends. Will can tell you.
Yeah.
Like
me as well. I have also very eclectic.
My friends scour the world, and I think not scour the world, but it scours all different races and ethnicities. And it comes from the fact that I think that one, I went to private school growing up, and I was around just people of different races for a very, very long time. And two, by the time I was 16, I had been to England, France, Italy, Greece, Australia, Mexico, and Canada a couple of times. So I was fortunate enough to see different people from different walks of life literally around the world. And I came to this conclusion very, very quickly that we're all the fucking same. Can I curse?
Oh yeah. I had that experience as well.
Yeah, we're all the fucking same. Like I don't need to judge you about some of the things you do. More importantly, I need to learn from you and experience different things. Like I stayed with a French family for like 3 weeks, and they only spoke French, and I didn't know a lick of French, but I fucking learned for those 3 days, how to communicate and get around. And I've always kind of had a knack for learning and learning new things, and people fascinate me. That's why I got into the business of psychology and mental health.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of okay, guys, I want to ask your opinion on this. We haven't even gotten to our first question, but
we'll get there.
I think, and Will, you're going to be mad at me about something I'm going to tell you later. America, because I've gone to Europe multiple times, and people
I need to go back to Europe. I love that.
And people are different, because what I realize when I come, and this is a bold statement, I mean, it's true, people just aren't going to like it. Because America is a melting pot, it tends to be one of the most racist places that you can live, because there's so many different cultures. You have to deal with what's in front of you. I forgot where I was going with it, but basically, I do remember. A lot of the stigmas and stereotypes and racism, yes, it does exist, but I think we internalize it way too much as Americans with these different things, because you realize, we're actually not that different. When I started working in corporate America, it was definitely somewhat of a shock, culture shock, but I started learning, and I was like, people I started making some great friends, but it's prior to that where, all of these inner stigmas and things that we internalize just from growing up in this country and media and how it's pushed this, that, and the third, it shapes your mind to think certain things about certain people, with these different kind of labels and things and rushes to judgment, conceptions about people and things of that nature. So I think once you actually start integrating and you meet different types of people, Asian, white, black, Indian, Spanish, you start realizing you have a lot more in common than you actually do that's different.
You do apart, yeah. A question for you, Christian.
Yeah.
You said you've been to Europe multiple times. Was that through an organization by any chance?
No.
Oh, okay. I went, and a little story here. That's how I was able to go to Europe. I went through this government-funded organization called People to People Student Ambassadors. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. Essentially, what happens is you get nominated based on like your test scores or from somebody else in the program. Like, I don't know who nominated me for People to People the first time, but essentially they find you and they offer you to go with a group of people from like the New York, Long Island area, from all these other places. All the other states have People to People student ambassadors as well, to go see different parts of the world. So from what I got from it, and when I learned the history of it, that People to People student ambassadors was founded by Eisenhower. Eisenhower brought together some of the most powerful people, including Walt Disney, of his time together to help fund this program. The idea of the program was that if we can get the youth to travel around the world and get to know each other, we can help further foster world peace among the nations, because you'll realize, like you said, Christian, that we're not really that different from each other. We're all pretty much the same. And so this thing has been going on forever. That's how I was able to go to Europe and Australia. And I had a letter, my mom probably has it, from like a member of parliament recruiting, like, come to Europe, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was pretty dope, and being able to see all those things at such a young age, because once you're 18, you phase out.
I think language has a lot to do with it too.
That it does, but you can get around language really quickly.
Well, I mean, like, just the misconceptions about people. The problem is you're not communicating. I went to Spain, and I see an Arabic guy ethnically and a black woman speaking fluent Spanish having a conversation with each other. Yeah. That's not something you see here. Not, you know what I mean? It's like, whoa. The first time, because I went to Spain twice.
Yeah.
And I did some traveling while I was there, bouncing around. But I saw things like that. And I was like, oh, this makes for much more harmonic kind of outcome, is just, language. People speaking the same language and communicating, and that puts a lot of whatever negativity there is to rest, because now you're having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my observation of, going abroad.
I need to travel more. I've only been to
Jamaica.
I've only been to Jamaica, and that was for spring break, and I'm not gonna say it doesn't count, but it wasn't the best representation of traveling abroad.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you probably said the tourist parts of it.
They speak English there.
They do speak really good English. A lot of Bob Marley on the resort. Outside the resort, they're like,
there was just
fuck
posters.
Bob Marley.
There's just posters of Bob Marley everywhere.
Yeah. No, it's just like, it was weird.
It's like so typical.
On the resort, they're like, oh, Americans just want to hear Bob Marley. It's what they think. Off the resort,
that's kind of probably what a lot of Americans think.
Yeah, it is. But like off the resort, there was just like, it was just local whatever.
I think a lot of Americans actually think like, Africa is like, like
bunch of Bob Marley
like
around.
No, I mean like the Lion King. They
Yeah.
don't realize this. They don't realize there's actually
Actual
like
music?
there's cities and people. It's
it's not all a giant Serengeti. Like,
African music is
and
legit.
the thing is,
I listen to some African music. It's fucking awesome.
Oh yeah,
It's awesome. Yeah, my Spotify playlist. I got a whole playlist full of African
I'm
music.
happy that African music in whatever form is just being now in the most modern contemporary form is Afrobeats.
Yeah, dude.
10 years ago that
just so easy to
it
stick like
wasn't
this
really
too.
being represented, not in mainstream, over here in this hemisphere, it wasn't really represented, but now it is. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I think the world is becoming more globalized to the extent where you hear Bad Bunny, who's not speaking a lick of English
but is fluent in English. Is fluent. Can speak it.
Hell of a wrestler.
He can, but he's
and hell of a
on the
wrestler,
songs. He's speaking completely Spanish.
Artist of the Year
on a New York English-speaking hip-hop station,
selling out Yankee Stadium.
You know what I'm saying? And people are like, "Yo, like I don't even know what he's saying, but the cadence is crazy and it just feels good."
It's incredible.
He is on a world tour. He has sold out Yankee Stadium. He sold out Allegiant Stadium. He sold out AT&T Stadium, where the Dallas Cowboys.
People talk about Drake, but Bad Bunny is like Mickey Mouse. Like,
dude, he is.
Global.
It's the hair goes like this too.
It's the hair. It is the hair.
He's global. When I say Mickey, because everybody knows what Mickey Mouse is.
Yeah.
Bad Bunny is like one of the biggest artists in the world and
one of the best marketed artists,
and did it
ever,
fairly
too.
quickly. I'd like to pick your brain on that. I did not know that he was marketed so well. It was just happening. I didn't realize.
He's only been around since 2013, 2014 is when he was underground. I only know a lot of his stuff because I do trivia night on like Thursday nights, and one of the trivias one of the trivia nights we did was Bad Bunny trivia, so I had to look up a bunch of crap about him.
Yeah,
there you go.
So he's been around for less than a decade.
My friend
been popular for maybe 2 years.
My friend was on an elevator with him. Didn't know who this is, like right before Bad Bunny
shit got real. Yeah,
Bad Bunny. You know, a friend's in a steel pan band. He was opening for another band that was playing, and he was on an elevator with a guy with a funky haircut, because you know how Bad Bunny does. He does the zigzags and all the things.
Beat of his own drum.
He didn't know who he was.
Yes, he is.
But shortly after, he was like, "Oh yeah, I was on an elevator with Bad Bunny. Had no clue." So crazy.
How, you know.
Crazy how things happen. Stardom, right?
All right, Christian. Let's ask a question.
Let's ask a question.
This happens.
I'm hoping they'll be just as interesting as our conversation so far, because it's feeling good.
Well, that's how this podcast goes. Sometimes we go a half hour without even asking a question.
Very true.
But how this podcast works, the first time listening, or if you're in the chat room, we have a giant list of random questions. It's 201 and counting. And we kind of just ask them and see where the conversation goes from there. If we kind of get lost and you go back to center, right back to the questions. If you're in the chat, make sure to ask your questions. If you're listening on the repeat, come join us next week or the week after, and maybe a few weeks after, because I'm doing some housekeeping pretty soon. And ask your questions. So, Christian, put that camera on you and ask the first question.
All right. I'm going to give my uninformed opinion on this one after I ask, because I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I watch them sometimes, so you might have an idea what I'm about to ask. Which is harder, WWE or UFC? The floor, gentlemen.
Oof, I saw this on the list too.
I wanted to ask this question with either Ricky or Jared here, because at first, okay, so Ricky, let's set the parameters for what we're defining as harder.
Okay,
that is most important.
That's
how
important.
are we defining harder?
Because I'm going to say, uninformed opinion, I'm saying UFC.
Most people would.
I mean, it's real out there. It's real for WWE too, to an extent, but
here's my thing.
Go ahead, Ricky.
Here's my thing. I'm gonna say WWE based on this notion alone. It's easy. If you want to fight, you can find it's easy to fight, because fighting for most people, besides fight or flight and other sort of responses, here comes my psych mind coming through, is a natural instinct for a lot of people. You have the capability to defend yourself, because again, that's natural, and you can train to do it. These are all natural movements. WWE is kind of like golf. They are unnatural movements, because not only are you defending yourself, but you're kind of doing a song and dance. It's a choreographed performance with somebody.
I'm supposed to get my ass whooped right now, so I got
exactly I'm supposed to take this punch or take this body slam. Where Chris, if someone were to come up to you in the street and try to body slam you, you're resisting.
Right. And like with versus WWE, you're fake resistant if you're supposed to get body slammed.
You're working with your opponent as opposed to against your opponent. Ricky,
exactly.
I don't remember who said
it's
this.
It's like ballroom dancing, maybe.
It is. It's
kind
exactly.
of. Ballroom dancing is awesome.
It's physical ballroom dancing, but it's like I forget where I heard it, but it's like the moves are the easy part. It's how you respond to moves getting done to you is what the hard part is of professional wrestling. WWE.
Yeah.
And I'll add to that, UFC, it's a lot of training. The fight itself is brutal. You see the picture of the faces before and after the fight. It's tough. Injuries happen all the time. But what I will say with WWE is it is all year round for years
Never stops.
upon years upon years. You can do a training camp for like 2 months, have the fight, and then take 6 months off. In fact, you have to, so your body can recover. WWE,
and you get paid.
I'm about to say, not to mention, you get compensated for those fights.
Yeah. WWE is you're doing 5 matches a week sometimes.
Yeah.
In front of nobody, so it's I would say physically.
On top of training too.
On top of training, I'd say physically, UFC might be harder because it is actually real and people get their brains turned into pudding.
You get kicked in the head.
Yeah, I mean, like they get limbs broken. Like also for UFC, you gotta cut weight. Like you gotta maintain your body even when you're not in training camp.
WWE doesn't have weight classes.
No, like
I mean we have fake weight classes, but they also still have to maintain an image. Like, for instance, Brock Lesnar just can't. Well, never mind. Brock Lesnar's a bad example.
Yeah,
because Brock Lesnar can do whatever the hell he wants. A wrestler like someone lower on the card, a wrestler. All right, let's take a female wrestler.
Like Austin Theory. It's like Austin Theory.
But Austin Theory can't just all of a sudden grow.
Star, right?
Yeah,
and part of
Austin
his
Theory
appeal is
just
that
can't
he's ripped.
all of a sudden just grow like long hair and a giant beard and look like Tom Hanks from Castaway. Like, he can't do that because he kind of has an image to keep, because that's the image that they're promoting and they're pushing towards the public of this is that guy. So like they still have to stay in some sort of shape. Like Bianca Belair, for instance, Bianca Belair was on Game Day. Bianca Belair was on Game Day on ESPN. Was Bianca Belair wearing her natural hair? No, she was wearing the fake ponytail that she always has to wear at every public appearance.
She probably wore it in the airport.
The same ponytail.
Yeah, it's like she has beautiful like natural hair, but she wears
Christian, pull up a picture of her.
Pull up Bianca
Belair.
Gorgeous woman, fabulous backstory.
Really gorgeous, and her hair, the giant braid is fake.
Yeah. It's a clip.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a clip.
Let's
they do it really well. It is.
Yeah.
A clip.
See if you can pull it up. What we got here?
I got you. Just give me a second. You guys keep talking.
Yeah. So she has to.
She still has to
lug
keep
that around,
image.
and she has to wrestle with it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's not necessarily an easy thing to do either. Now, like UFC, you could do that, but why would you do
Bianca.
that?
Yeah,
there she is. Yeah.
You see all the hair, and then like on the bottom left is what her natural hair looks like.
Oh, just right over
and like
here.
that top right there, you can see the braid going down her side. Yeah.
Oh, this girl's a wrestler?
Yeah. No,
wow.
she is a gymnast. She is a freak of
nature.
No,
she wasn't
athlete.
a gymnast. She was
oh my God! Look at this picture.
Bodybuilder.
No, she's a Division I track star.
Track, that's what it is.
Is Bianca about to slam this girl? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she is.
So Bianca Belair's backstory.
Oh, I think these are the track days. No, that's still SmackDown. That's SmackDown. For a second, I thought she was doing hurdles.
No, she is.
She was.
She is doing hurdles.
Yeah.
But like, she was Division I track star at the University of Tennessee and was an All-American.
Yeah.
Serious athlete.
Serious athlete. No joke at all. But like, she has to keep up that image of the long ponytail whenever she's in public and doing public appearances.
Yeah.
You know, on top of Will's thing too as well. Even though UFC, you take all that time off, and WWE wrestlers aren't taking that much time off, you also have the added point of like, these people are traveling.
Yeah.
Constantly.
They're in Memphis on Monday, and then they're in like Nashville on Tuesday, and then they're down in Atlanta on Wednesday.
And then you get 2 days off, and then you're traveling.
So how do we make this distinction? Like,
I would say lifestyle. I would say the whole
harder,
thing.
harder lifestyle.
Like the harder life, right? Like it's like
not just physical.
If you're saying physically, I might give it to UFC because it is more real.
I bet them guys are in a tub full of guys and girls in tub full of ice.
Yeah.
And can't walk for days after those
if you want to do mentally,
they stand up long enough to put their arm up for the win. You know what I mean? And they keep it together, and then they go in the back and just fall
and
over.
Collapse. Yeah.
You know, like in Creed when he was showing him like coming home, and he's just like, maybe I can't do this anymore. Like you come home beat up, man.
Yeah.
It's when we tie it all together. I am going to say WWE because of the grinds, the constant training. The image, like physically, mentally, and emotionally, it's
PR appearances.
It's so much more than UFC. But if we're going just physically, I will give it to UFC.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
But like once Francis Ngannou is done fighting, you don't really hear from him for a while. Like my man Kamaru Usman, he just lost his title, went on Joe Rogan, and
we're not talking about that.
You haven't seen him since. I know. I was so sad he lost too. But like. These guys are in the public eye and really got to go hard just for a little bit. Then they got to do it through SADA testing. So, like, that's annoying, too. So, like, they're both hard, but the actual whole lifestyle, who would I rather not be in terms of difficulty? It's probably WWE. It's so much more.
There's a lot. Like, did you ever see, I mean, I know you probably saw the John Cena, you saw the John Cena documentary, like, years ago when they did one.
Yes.
And, like, how he would be up at, like, 4, 5 in the morning, not to work out, not to practice, but to do phone calls and PR.
Yeah,
radio stations around the world,
especially during WrestleMania week.
You really are a whole personality. That's the difference.
He has passed 650 Make-A-Wishes.
What? What?
Did he pass 650?
Yeah, he broke his own record
What,
like every single day.
We talking about like Make-A-Wish Foundation?
Yeah.
Yeah, John Cena has the most Make-A-Wish
By
wishes
far.
given.
John Cena is so famous.
He's
Like,
also
yeah.
such a nice person.
I mean, he's famous to the extent, like, obviously he's been in movies and things, but like people that don't even know wrestling, watch wrestling, people like me, who didn't grow up watching wrestling, I've always known who John Cena was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I mean, I'm sure the comments going to go at us for this, but that's why I put the question on here because there is no right or wrong answer. If someone's going to make a really good argument for you, assume like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Fuck wrestling. All right, Christian. Next question. That was a good one. I'm glad we got to ask that finally.
Okay.
Throw that camera on you. There we go.
What did you name your first car? This is an easy one.
Ooh, what did you name your first car?
I didn't name mine.
You didn't name
Did we ask this question before?
No, we didn't.
No?
No, we didn't.
I remember. I was like, what the hell did I name my first car? Okay, I do remember what I named my first car.
So yeah, go ahead, Ricky. You first.
Yeah, it's very long. It's the F1 War Machine, aka Al Davis. There's a story behind this.
Al Davis, like the basketball player.
Al Davis, like the owner of the Oakland Raiders.
Oh, sorry. What Davis? I'm thinking of Big Baby.
You're
Davis?
thinking no. You're thinking of Anthony Davis of Los Angeles.
I was just talking about him, his unibrow.
the brow, which he made a brand,
which he can't shave.
Because it's his brand.
It's his
he
brand.
Can't get rid of
It's like the WWE thing. That's why I'm bringing that into there. So
it's his brand.
All right, so you named it Al Davis. So what's the story behind Al Davis? Throw that camera on him, Christian.
Yeah, the F1 War Machine, aka Al Davis. So when I was looking for a car, this was after my sophomore year of college. We were looking for a car. We ended up, one of my mom's friends found a car in a circular. It was at the time, this was like 2009. So we found an 08 Camry. Found a 2008 Camry out in like Islip, Long Island. Found a 2008 Camry being sold by the owner, had like 5,000 miles on it. My sister's fiance, now ex-fiance, or fiance at the time, the father was also a mechanic. We told him about it. He literally said, put Ricky on the phone. He puts you on the phone. He pretty much said, I don't care if it's fucking pink, you're getting this car. Like, because it was like, it's a car with 5,000 miles on it, like less than a year old.
Yeah, take it. Yeah, take it. No, take it.
It's a steal. So we negotiated with the people. It was an elderly couple. I think their last names were Cervenka. So like they were both retired and they only needed really one car, and they had just gotten this car. This car also had auto start on it, because why do old people need auto start? But I was like, great, perfect. So we were negotiating with the husband. Husband goes, I got to talk to the boss. So the boss comes out, who's his wife, and my mom goes, oh, you're the boss. And she goes, yeah, and the War Department as well, hence War Machine. F1, my last name, beginning with F1, my first car. Al Davis being the owner of my favorite football team, the Oakland Raiders. So War Machine, F1 War Machine is his nickname. Al Davis is the real name of the car. It was also silver 08 Toyota Camry.
That helps.
Raiders colors are silver and black.
There you go.
A lot of thought into that.
No, that's
War Machine. The comic
answer.
book War Machine is also a silver Iron Man character as well, so it also works out.
No, it all ties in. That's a good one. I don't think I named my first car. It was I think it was like a 2004 black Toyota Corolla. I didn't have it for that long because I totaled it. Within like 3 months.
Totaled it.
3 to 6 months, I totaled it.
Yeah, he did.
It was. I don't remember. I don't remember where I got it either. I think my dad might have picked up off a lot. So yeah, I totaled that one. My fault. I was an idiot. My second car I got from Uncle Phil. It was a 19.
You have an Uncle Phil?
I do have an Uncle Phil.
Yeah, he has an Uncle Phil.
Yeah. So shout out to Uncle Phil. It was a.
Rest in peace, Uncle Phil.
No, he's still alive.
No, not that.
I know that Uncle Phil. Yeah.
Shouldn't say that though. Let me knock on some wood.
Fresh Prince, Uncle Phil. Yeah, I know. The second one was a white 1994 Toyota Corolla, which I called the White Knight.
Wow, you had a 94 car?
Yeah, it was
your first car.
Older, no, second car. It was older than me. I got it from Uncle
The
Phil.
94 Corolla.
I got it from Uncle Phil.
Wow.
I got it from Uncle Phil for $500.
How many miles was on that thing?
A lot, like 200,000. Ricky, did you ever drive in that car? I don't know, because I had it myself.
Yeah, because that's when you didn't you hit the deer in that one?
I did. I hit the deer in that one. So what happened with that one? This is a good story. Put that camera on me. So I graduated from Hofstra, and I was always nervous to bring that car back and forth from Hofstra to Massachusetts, where I'm from. Like, I was that guy who wouldn't drive the car over 70 miles per hour. So I'd be in the left lane going 70 and people going pissed at me.
Well, what's the minimum speed limit right here?
Well, that was a maximum because the car is so old. I want the engine to die out.
Well, maximum in New York, I know is 55.
It probably is 55. So,
yeah,
but that's just like guidelines on the actual highway. So
especially in New York, but yeah,
guidelines.
The guidelines. So on the way back after my graduation party, I had work on Monday, my first day of work, like in the real world, and across the border from Massachusetts to Rhode Island, it's like just over the border. A deer comes out of nowhere over, like, not even like in the median. It was just like, you know, like in the median, in the middle of the, like a patch of grass or whatever.
Yeah.
There was none of that. It was just a barrier, like a concrete barrier, and like the guardrails. This thing just hops over it, and I'm just like, see at the last second. I don't even slam the brake. I just gotta keep driving. Hit this thing right in the ass. And I think I got a picture of it on my phone. I'll put an overlay in the video. Like, it crushes my front tail light, dents the hood.
You still had ass fibers when you brought it back to New York.
I had fur,
hair, like hair from the deer's ass, like was in your...
and blood from the deer's ass embedded in my car. I hope that motherfucker's dead. I hope it died on the spot.
Probably didn't.
It just went away in the woods and just went and eat some berries and was Bambi's mom or whatever. So I had to bring it to the shop. It cost me $700, and I had to get my friend Skeeter to drive me to the train station for like the first week of work. I was pissed. So yeah, I called that one the White Knight, and that one lasted a while until my current car now, which was when my grandmother passed. And I remember I took her in the White Knight to go to the mall, and she was like, "Oh, William, this car is awful. This car drives terrible." Because it had the crank windows. It didn't have electric windows. It had crank windows. So she was complaining with the crank windows. And she's like, "When I die, I'm going to give you my car." And I was like, "I'm going to remember that." And guess what? I did. So I called that's my current car. It's parked outside right now. I called that one Georgianna after my grandmother. Yeah.
Nice. My current car is Hunter.
Hunter?
You name all your cars.
I mean, I don't. Here's the thing. Like, I'll name my cars, but I won't talk about it in common language. Like, I would like, "Oh, let's go to my car." I'm like, "Oh, let's go to Hunter. She's a beaut, isn't she?"
Yeah.
Hunter's a he, if anything. Yeah.
I don't like press the horn and go, "Hey, listen for Georgianna. She's out there somewhere."
Exactly.
No,
yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
If it comes up, I have a story.
If it comes up, I will tell you, like,
right.
"Oh, I named my car Hunter,"
Yeah.
and that's only because after like a day or so negotiating, like, getting a car is the worst experience in the world. I'd rather go to the
especially
DMV.
right now.
Yeah,
Chip
I got
shortage.
one.
Ooh.
I got lucky. I got a crazy car deal story. If I may.
I love your car, Ricky. Throw them up there, Christian.
Oh, my hybrid, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's my car deal story. So the car by the F1 War Machine, aka Al Davis, actually was in a car accident while I was sleeping. Some drunk piece of shit hit my car, totally knocked off the rear bumper.
Right.
It was the worst. I didn't even go to work that day. Essentially, and my car almost had like 100,000 miles on it. It was like time to get a new one. End up going to the car dealership, trying to figure out what new car I want. I essentially just get an upgraded version of the car that I previously had, which is the Toyota Camry Hybrid. This is back almost 2 years ago at this point. We're not really coming to a consensus. Probably my mom's trying to negotiate me buying, and I was like, I can't afford to buy. I need to rent. I got or lease. Actually, I need to lease because got a bunch of expenses coming up. I'm about to move out. All of this stuff going on. So eventually, the guy that the dealer that we're working with, brings in like one of his big finance guys. Luckily for me, the finance guy who we end up talking to asked me what I did for a living. I told him what I did and what my job was. And turns out he had worked there like 10 or so years prior. He then tells me this: "We're going to take care of you. Don't worry." And the deal was done after that. Essentially what happened was, based on the amount of money that myself and my mother put down in the car, I executed what is known as a one payment lease. Which pretty much, which I'll explain, pretty much is that the amount of money I put down pretty much covered the lease, where I would have just been paying like less than $5 a month for the life of a lease. So essentially what I did is I based on the money down, I add a little bit extra money on there. I pay for the lease in full at the time that I'm acquiring the car. So I technically am driving a leased car with no lease payments, and I'm only paying for insurance.
Nice.
How long is it leased for?
3 years, so I have another year.
All right, okay, that makes
and
sense.
the good thing about that also as well is that since I paid everything up front, I know how much money I need to buy the car out up front because I don't have any lease payments.
Right.
So I know that, and the reason I called it Hunter is because when I finally got the car and I finally got in the car and everything was good, my license plate was on and all that hot shit is done, which took a fucking day to do. I put my cell phone on, put it on Android Auto. After I ordered pizza for myself, it was like, I'm rewarding myself for this shit.
Yep. Been there, baby.
The first song that came on was it was a song by The Game, the rapper The Game.
Oh, shout out to Game.
And so I said The Game, Hunter Hearst, Triple H, Hunter Hearst sounds like Triple H is also known as The Game. We're naming the car Hunter.
I like that. That's good. Christian, you don't name your cars?
My first car had a name, but I didn't name it. A friend of mine was just like, I'm gonna call her Ann. It was
She's the one who broke my heart.
I don't know the story behind it. I need to contact him and find out what that was about. I'm like, because he was one of my best friends. I never knew, like, I don't know if he had some girl that I had never known about, but Ann. He was like, I'm gonna call her Ann. And I was just like, all right, I don't have any names. It was a 2000 Jetta. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
One of those ones that were real low to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I love that car. It's funny because it didn't have power windows. So I had
to use that.
I had this long going joke with one of my friends, and he would think it was hilarious. I would like tap like there's actually a window button there, and like try not to move my shoulder while rolling it up, and he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Because meanwhile, he's driving a BMW. You know, so he thought that was pretty funny. Actually, no, there actually was a second car. When my first car, the Jetta, I think it had about 100,000 miles on it when I got it. It was my father bought it for like $1,500 from a junkyard, but my father's a mechanic, so he knew what he could just fix it. He knew what he was buying.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, put another transmission in it, and then I'll buy it. So he made him put a transmission in it before he took it. So it was really well over the $1,500 that he paid for it. That car eventually, the trans went out. So the trans he put in, I guess it wasn't that great. Second car, it was a Jeep Wagoneer that my brother, I'm talking wood grain, wood panels.
Oh, like National Lampoons?
Like 19,
going to Wally World?
Like a 1980s.
I know the car. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
you had one of those?
1987. I think it had 294,000 miles on it.
Oh man.
But this thing was still, and again, that same friend, he really got a kick out of it because it took forever to start. It would be like, and he's just dying, you know. He's dying whenever I turn the car on. This guy, he had fun with me. But anyway, the same friend who named the car Ann, interesting enough, we were in the subway in New York one time, and there was this girl on the train, like, I don't know. She was like all like hoop earrings and whatever. Like, and she came up to us, started talking to us, and her name was Willinda. And I thought that was hilarious.
It is pretty funny.
So
it's the best I've heard since LaFonda.
When I got the Wagoneer temporarily, because it was my brother's car, but he like just dipped. Like my brother's half Bermudian, and he just like he was living in my parents' house. Then he's like, you know what, I'm going back to Bermuda. He left the car, and soon after my car had an issue, so I started driving it. And I had to think of a name, and the first thing that popped in my head was Willinda. So that car became Willinda. Got the Jetta back on the road.
Amazing.
Had another car. Got the car back on the road. Eventually, it crapped out again a couple years later. And I got another Jetta. And I'm like, damn, I'm locked into Volkswagens forever, man.
So they get you.
But it was a 2014. This one had power windows. You know, power windows.
And that's all you really needed.
Dude, them crank windows are the fucking worst. I hate them.
Man.
I grew up with them.
But you know what?
I did too, but I had that car for years, man. You know how awful it was to get girls in college with a crank window in a car?
You just got to leave them open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you gotta do the work beforehand, so they don't even need it.
Oh, you cold? Crank it.
You know,
Let me show you my arm muscles.
Just
How you
close
flex
your
it.
eyes.
See how
real
your
quick.
hand works.
Let me just close your eyes real quick. I'm gonna handle that for you. Yeah, but it was crazy. I've always been in music. You know, I'm in the studio right now.
Yeah.
But you know, even before it was big studio time, I was heavy into music. So my sound system was worth more than the car. I had a subwoofer in the trunk.
I know people who did that.
I had a nice radio, and I had roll up windows. You know, you could say roll up the window, and that meant what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just Ann and Willinda, I named the second one. So
That's pretty good.
had the following Jetta, didn't name it, and then my car got flooded in Staten Island during that crazy storm last September. Totaled, and I got a Nissan Sentra, but no names on that one. No names.
You gotta have a reason for it. If you're gonna name something like anything, it's gotta have meaning behind it. Except your kid, you can name it whatever.
You know what? I think I have a
natural follow up. Go for it.
I don't know how to frame it, but do you? It's mean to name your kid something hilarious just because you find it amusing, and they have to live their entire life like that.
Before.
People do that.
Yeah.
Wait,
man.
Did you ever listen to a comedian named Ralphie May?
Yes.
Ralphie May. Is he
Will
Spanish?
has.
Is he dead?
No, he's died.
He's dead, right?
Okay.
Right,
Yeah, he predicted his own death in like a comedy show.
He predicted his own death.
That was me last week.
He died of natural causes?
Well, yeah, he died of a heart attack, natural causes. But he was a heavier set Southern white guy, and he goes, I remember one of his friends goes, listen, if I die of a heart attack, no one's gonna be surprised. Like, look at me.
How long after that?
Probably a couple years. Ralphie May.
Okay.
I would say listen to him. He's fucking hysterical.
He's really funny.
He is so, and he's a no nonsense, like everybody's equal. Stop the hate guy. Like he goes on his little rants here and there, but he's really, really funny, and so funny to the point where he named his daughter April May. Because his last name's May.
It's like a little Northwest situation.
That's pretty good.
I think it's April June May. I think is the name of his daughter.
Well, okay. Here's the caveat I'll give. You shouldn't do it, but middle name's a fair game.
Middle names are fair game.
So like my cousin Michael, friend of the show, cousin Michael.
Yeah.
His middle name is Seaver, after Tom Seaver, the pitcher from the Mets.
Okay.
Right. My middle name's Andrew, off of my great grandfather on my dad's side. Never met him, but sure. Middle names, you could be whatever. It's like, for example, it's gonna come across way more serious than it is. But Jazz and I were talking about kids.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know,
Yeah,
I feel like you I feel like you prefacing that made it a little bit more serious.
No, because now my mom's gonna come be like, you guys talking about kids? It's like, you know,
I saw it on the
yeah,
podcast.
now you're stuck. Now you're stuck.
Yeah, but like, no, like that's something we like, you know, just came up a conversation. Like, you know, we're not having kids now, we're not getting married now, but you know, like that's the kind of shit that comes up, and we're like,
I've had insubstantial conversations about like kid names with girls.
Because
you know
our thing is we call each other Booper, like boop, like boop.
You guys are very cute.
Yeah, we're fucking adorable. So I go, what if we just named our kid Booper? But here's the thing, I would never do that to the kid.
Your name is a verb.
You could give him a nickname of Booper.
I would have his middle name and his nickname be Booper though.
You're saying name and first name and middle name?
No, just middle name. So like I'm also one of those people, because like, so in my family, it's a Tarashuk tradition where you name the first boy after the father, but it's not a junior. So my dad is Richard.
Oh, you're so fucking lucky.
Yeah, are you a third, Ricky?
No, I am a junior.
You're a junior? So
and I have no middle name. Like it didn't like my junior does not come with a middle name.
That's why you're a junior. Some people don't have middle names, which I think is
well,
weird.
no, my dad doesn't have a middle name, so I don't have a middle name. Hence the junior.
That's pretty cool.
If I had a middle name, I would be completely different from my father, and probably a lot easier to separate our mail.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely.
Oh my God, it's the worst. When I moved out of the house, I got his mail all the time, and they live in Georgia now.
Yeah, well,
I'd call him and be like, "Your mail's here."
My brother's a junior, and he hasn't lived here for like 10 years. 15 years. We still get his mail because he's my father's senior, he's junior. So
Yeah, it's the worst.
You know what it is, Ricky?
So is registering to vote too. Like, oh, there's a number Ricky here. Like, no,
I wonder, like, how does airport problems?
No, not really.
No, that's ID, so it's picture with the.
That's ID.
Thing.
That's the picture ID.
With you with the mail, Ricky, it's probably because I'm assuming you have a forwarding address for all mail from your old address.
Well, yeah, it's probably expired now because I've been here for over a year.
Over a year, so yeah, it usually lasts about a year. You can renew it, but it usually lasts for over a year. They're probably like, oh shit, there's one in Georgia and one in New York. Fuck this, let's go to New York.
Well, that's that was also the issue. Well, no, actually, no, that's a separate issue. Never mind, but continue.
No, that was it. That was a joke. They wanted to we're gonna save postage and just keep it in New York and send it to Georgia.
Oh my god, it's the worst. But he would get my mail too.
Oh, that sucks.
And so we'd have to like flip. We'd have to like send each other mail.
Well, dude, that is one thing. Like living in an apartment building, like all my apartment buildings, I always get someone's mail from the person who doesn't live there anymore. Like frequently.
I still get that.
Like one of them was like, "Ooh, someone got jury duty. She don't live here no more."
Whoops.
What if you had somebody who just didn't pay parking tickets and you just kept getting just parking fines?
Well, the thing is, like, so when that happens, right? Because it's a felony to open someone else's mail.
Yes, it is.
It's also a felony to destroy someone else's mail.
Has that ever been enforced?
No. It only gets enforced if someone comes after you for it.
If you get caught.
Like, ma'am, you're under arrest.
Right, like,
sir.
So like,
you have the right to remain silent. You opened up some mail.
Put the letter opener down, sir.
Hypothetically,
and it's like something addressed to it's just something random, like a magazine or something. It's like, I'm going down for this. A felony. Imagine it being in. That's a federal.
Put the Good Housekeeping magazine down.
You're in the penitentiary, the federal penitentiary.
You're in Supermax.
Opening mail.
What are you here for?
With hardened criminals.
I got a Jugs magazine. It didn't have my name on it, but I opened it anyway.
It was too much to resist.
It was Jugs, though. I wish I had that magazine here in this cell.
They said I couldn't take it with me. It was evidence.
Yeah. That might be part of the title today. Opening other people's mail.
This Jugs with 2 G's.
Yeah.
The mail felony. But like, if you get someone else's mail, what are you supposed to do with it? I just throw it out.
Yeah, throw it out.
So what I do, because Will's been, because Will helped me move in there. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, great spot. Love your place.
Yeah. You haven't been here since I actually did stuff to it.
It's far.
The train station's right there. You can walk from the train station.
That's true.
Be that as it may. Where everybody gets their mail in my unit is right outside my door. So if I get like the old person's mail, I just literally just put it on top of the unit and just leave it be. And like someone will take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not catching a felony.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll just put it right there, but not mine.
So the mailbox in my place, it's like one of those like the tall thin ones that has a key. The mailman can come and open it and throw things in. So the door to mine broke. So there's just an empty mail spot, and then next to it's like one of those outdoor mailboxes they just drilled into the wall. And I was just like, yo, this is way better. like they put it in and they emailed me. The building manager, the email was like, hey, this is temporary. It'll be fixed eventually. I emailed back. I'm like, no, keep it. It's perfect. I'm like, this is way better because it's like, it's bigger. It can fit more letters in there. Any junk mail I just kind of keep in there, and it's like, well, fuck it, I don't need it. And then anytime it's just like mail I don't need, or it's not listed to me, or it's someone else's, and it's on the floor, I put it in an empty mailbox, and someone will see it or throw it out. So I love it. I think it's great. I just we're done 5B in Sharpie so people know it's mine. Like it's just like an outdoor white mailbox with like a little key and like a little slit in the thing that opens. I got a little key for it. It's crazy.
Awesome.
Amazing. It's awesome. It's the best. I love the mail.
I hate the mail. It just piles up.
I never really had a problem with the mail. Like other than
it just hasn't officially become part of my procedure. Like, checking the mail every single day.
You get used to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget. I go for days and I forget to
exactly. Like, and then you're like, okay, yeah, let's go through this. Garbage. Something important. It's like before like spam. It's like spam physical.
It's the original spam.
The original spam.
Oh, yeah, it is the original spam.
Yeah.
I do love spam too, though. It's like fake ham.
I was saying, are you gonna talk about the food now?
It is very high in salt. But Christian, let's ask one more question.
All right. What are we going for? What's the vibe?
Hilarious, ridiculous, utterly absurd.
I'll answer anything. I don't give a fuck. So.
Okay. You know what? Let's do 2.
Okay.
Number 1. I'm gonna say both of them. Where do hamsters live before they get to the pet store?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, who the fuck thought ring pops were a good idea?
I love these. So the hamster one.
You want to throw one more? I got one more ridiculous one.
Yeah, throw another one in there.
What is the proper way to clap? I don't even know what that means.
Ooh,
Let's do the clapping one first.
Proper way to. All right, so
there's many ways to clap, right?
There's many ways to clap.
There's the
if you cup your hands, it makes more sound.
The cup.
If you cup your hands, it makes more sound.
You got the suction.
Yeah, you got to get the suction. This is the proper way to clap.
It's like. Oop,
I would go so flat.
You go flat?
I'm a flat clapper. Yeah.
When I was a little kid, I was a flat
To me,
clapper.
that's like. To me, that's like that's very Eddie Murphy. Like
patty cake.
Hercules.
This is like schoolgirl with braids.
Like I'm also not clapping like in front of like, oh my god.
Oh, like yes, like, fabulous queen, yes,
I'm clapping like maybe to the side so I can still see what I'm clapping about.
Yeah.
You know? if you're clapping like you want to make sound.
The cup is for attention.
That's a respectful clap to me.
This is for attention.
If you really if you feeling it, it's
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. There's some people who do do both.
And if you can do like the golf clap, which I say,
I've never.
If you want to clap, but you want to be kind of like petty about it.
We're doing a lot of. With the face, you got to stick your neck out a little bit.
It's all
gentleman's
about,
clap.
It's all about pace and.
The silent clap. This jazz hands.
Well, it's not jazz hands. This is how deaf people clap.
That's how deaf people clap. Yeah,
yes.
and
my mom
clap,
was a sign language teacher.
The one hand clap. So. I'm a big fan of the one hand clap.
Yeah, my mom was a sign language teacher, so I know random things like that. And my father worked in the postal service, so I couldn't hate mail.
And there you go. So yeah, the proper way to clap, definitely. I think it's this.
I've never clapped with my hands just like.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
It's a lot of work.
If anything, I'll do the fingers in the palm. The fingers in the palm.
It's not completely like straight. Like I don't want like you're gonna tell you like break a finger.
Yeah.
But like I'm not.
You're wearing rings.
I'm not cupped. I'm not cupped like this either. I'm kind of like this.
Sometimes also like this.
There's a natural bend to it.
This
you know.
Backhand on backhand.
I suppose it depends on how if you're sitting, if you're standing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I care about what I'm clapping
about. Do I care? Like, oh, the present's coming out. Boo! Yeah, you suck.
Like if I care or not. You know, if I'm doing it just because so I don't get fired.
Do a slow clap. Just a nice, louder than everyone else.
Yeah, you want to be that asshole.
All right, so we had where do hamsters go before?
Yeah, what's the hamster's natural habitat?
I've never seen a hamster.
I have never seen a live hamster. So
because they're not indigenous.
I just figured they were just they were created in the pet store in some lab.
Yeah, they were born in the pet store. So the thing, most of them are probably born in the pet store.
Really?
Now,
you think so?
Now, probably yes.
Yeah, they are not indigenous to this area.
Genetically engineered.
So this is a first guess game where we guess, or in a case like Ricky, where he probably knows. And then we're gonna Google and get the right answer.
Yeah, I know. I
kind of got a little.
But
bit
I know
we're
not. It's one of those things where like hamsters and also gerbils and people like and species like that were not indigenous to this area. This area being America, and somehow, some way, it was brought over to America.
Neither were we.
My assumption is Europe.
My assumption is also Europe, but like. What?
I didn't see any hamsters.
What's
they just be running down, on the crosswalk.
Because there were rodents.
Yeah.
Right.
But they are a rodent class. Yes.
They're not like guinea pigs, who are kind of like a pig dog thing.
I think.
Well,
that's another question. I've never seen guinea pigs either. Like just out and about.
I've never seen live animals that live and had to come from a pet store.
I want to say gerbils, hamsters, guinea pigs have some sort of similarities to them.
Yeah, I picture they live like underground, or like in the grass.
The real question is why did we make rodents these specific rodents pets?
Dude, because they're so cute.
They're harmless.
They run on the wheel and they're harmless and they die in 3 years, so they're quick. They're low maintenance.
That's a factor when you're buying a pet. You're like, this responsibility has an expiration.
Yeah, I got one in first grade. It was dead by fourth grade. It was great.
Yeah, I don't know why we have them as pets, but I guess it's just more so that as I go back into frame, sorry about that. I think we probably you brought them over as pets, and I think after a while, through different generations, they just got used to it. It's like cats and dogs. Well, dogs in particular. Dogs got used to being nice to humans. Cats are couple of 500 years away from being completely domesticated because cats aren't there yet.
Certain cats are.
Certain cats, but not the entire line of cats.
Yeah.
Oh, you think cats aren't fully domesticated?
No, they're not fully domesticated.
No, not yet,
at all.
because we still have outdoor cats, right? Like you have a cat.
Dogs are fully domesticated.
Dogs are 110% domesticated. Although, if we stopped having dogs as pets and released them out in the wild, within 1 or 2 generations, they'd be back to completely feral or wild. Because they still have that wolf DNA in them.
Correct, but they're not a wolf. Trust me.
No.
Put a wolf next to a dog. There's a difference.
There's a big difference.
Have you seen a wolf? Have you seen a wolf up close?
No, I haven't. I don't want to.
No, I don't want to either.
I will stay far away.
Christian, Google it. So Google like a hamster's natural habitat. I'm guessing kind of like gophers. That's what I'm guessing. Like on like topsoil, like kind of underground, grassy knoll kind of animals.
Grassy knoll. Okay, Jeff.
Or like garbage with the coons. Raccoons.
First wild hamsters were discovered in Europe and
Asia.
Asia. Countries of Syria, Greece, Romania, Belgium, and northern China. Hamsters like to live in warm, dry areas such as mountainous
steps.
Steps.
All right, so I guess a little
sand dunes,
stapes, like crepes.
So a little arid. They have little arid areas. Okay.
Yeah.
Not what I expect.
I mean, I feel like
I expect like little prairie dogs.
We forget that they're actual animals because of you know how the cute the domesticated factor.
They just live in like wood chips and have wheels in the wild.
Yeah, but owls eat them up from time to time.
They power things.
Damn,
oh yeah,
that has to be a scary thing for a hamster.
Getting eaten by a fucking owl?
Yeah.
That'd be terrifying. You know how sharp those claws are?
Just coming from the sky.
Yeah.
Have you ever held a bird of prey,
with a face of indifference? Owls are so indifferent. Their faces are just like
they don't blink.
Have you ever had like a bird of prey on your arm?
No.
I've had a snake around.
They are.
Like
there's a bird sanctuary on Long Island, so where I went there when I was in like scouts. But there's a reason they wear the glove. Whenever we're holding a bird, because those talons are sharp as fuck.
Yeah, they're thick.
The gloves. They lay it on thick.
All right, so I'm glad we stole hamsters from like a desert and gave them.
We stole most animals.
And gave them like a thing of sawdust to lay in.
Yeah.
What was that other question, Christian? The third one.
Third one. Who the fuck thought ring pops were a good idea?
Yeah, who the fuck thought ring pops were a good idea?
I didn't. You must have wrote this question.
I did. I was mad.
Yeah, seriously.
This is a giant motherfucker. You know what it was? You know what? Actually, it should have been baby bottle pops because the story. So the story behind it was baby bottle pops are great, but we'll go with ring pops. Yeah, who the fuck thought ring pops were a good idea? You're just like sucking on your thumb and just sugar and spit all over your hand. Your hand gets sticky.
Well, not your thumb, but
no, like your finger.
Yeah.
Who's putting that ring pop on your thumb?
Just like, hey, I'm out with the girls. Oh my god, look who's engaged.
I mean, they're just the early forms of a Super Bowl ring these days now.
I mean, they're delicious. Don't get me wrong, but it's such a pain in the ass to eat.
It is weird.
That is kind of weird.
It is weird because it looks like a pacifier.
Like, when's the last time you saw someone eat a ring pop?
Not in a long time.
I mean, are they still out there?
They are still out there.
Yeah, they are.
They're still in business?
I'm going to go to CVS and go buy a ring pop.
You're going to have to look for it.
Yeah, I
don't think they're as popular as they once were.
Probably
not.
No. But they're there. They're there. They're pretty delicious, too.
Yeah, they are great.
They're with diamonds.
They are like the embodiment of flavor. It's just boom, flavor. Like, it's so dense with flavor. They're so dense.
I don't know if they'd fit on my finger. My fingers might be too fat.
Nah, it'll probably still work. I mean, the ring's gonna be fatter too. I mean,
no,
you know what it is?
Put it on the
you know why we made it marketable? Because we're still talking about it to this day.
That's
a nostalgic thing for us. Like,
but also,
do you think our kids from this generation coming up, are they really like into ring pops like the way
name
we were?
another candy that fits on your finger?
Like baby bottle pop, ring pops. What else was big? Airheads was big.
Airheads are still big.
Fruit by the Foot's still big. But
Fruit by the Foot's still big?
To your point,
Gushers are still big.
When was the last time you thought about a ring pop before tonight?
Before tonight?
Yeah. He's like, we're still talking about it. When was the last time you talked about or thought about or saw a ring pop?
Saw a ring pop? I haven't seen a ring pop in a while. Thought about it probably further out.
Yeah. It's been
but
a
I'm
while.
just saying the fact that we're still talking about it, but also it's a unique thing that's gonna it's a unique thing that's stood the test of time.
It's a unique candy, that's for sure.
It's unique because like whatever candy can you fit on your finger.
It's like, but why would you need to fit a candy?
But why would you need to hold it on your finger?
I mean, you can snort Fun Dip and your tongue turns that color for like a year. That was pretty cool.
It's true as well, but like it's one of those. It's just one of those things that just kind of became a pop culture thing. Ring pops, Gushers is a big thing as well.
Gushers,
dude, Warheads is like
Warheads. Yeah, the Warheads. I forgot. I was gonna call them lemon heads, but they're Warheads.
Lemonheads are a real thing
Lemonheads
too.
are different. Lemonheads are different.
Lemonheads are delicious. Warheads just put up your asshole and you'll be dead.
Yeah,
you got to boof a Warhead. But my baby bottle pop story. Well, I should have put the question on. The baby bottle pops are even worse because you had like the thing on top of the baby bottle, and then the giant thing of sugar underneath.
Yeah, lick the pop, dip it, and shake it, and lick it again.
Yeah, I thought you shake it. You could put it upside down. You can shake it. So, I actually, the story came up the other day at my cousin's engagement party. I told a story about the baby bottle pop. So I was probably 5-6 years old at my brother's soccer game, and the snack bar was there, obviously. So I got a baby bottle pop because I'm 6 and I want snacks and sugar because that's what I need as a kid. And I'm eating my baby bottle pop, minding my own business. And next thing I know, this fucking bee flies in front of my face and bites me in the eye.
How do you get
bite you
right there? Bites.
How do you get
bites.
bit in the eye?
How do you get bit by a bee who has a stinger?
It might have been a bumblebee.
Like it just turned its ass against your eye. And just,
No.
Take it.
No, it's
because that's what a stinger is.
How did you not get pink eye from this?
I don't know. But I was eating a baby bottle pop. I wanted the sugar, and for some reason I thought it was in my fucking eye. So I got bit in the eye by a bee, and I have not had a baby bottle pop since.
What did that look like?
It hurt.
Like, what is a bee sting
was it a
on the
sting
eye
or was it
look
a?
like?
It was a bite. It was a bite.
So there was no stinger that came out.
No
of your
stinger.
eye.
No. It bit my eyelid. It like right above my eyelid. So obviously the thing's flying from my face. I closed my eye and kind of go like this, and it bit me on the eyelid. And yeah, I had to go to the doctor, and they gave me some ice, and that was it.
Because I'm thinking that it was like the actual eye, like it.
No,
like
it
it stung your eye
right into the hole. And
no, it didn't. No, I was like, hey, bee,
Damn.
come at me, bro. Like, no.
Come into that open hole right there.
Yeah, no, it bit me in the. I should say it bit me in the eyelid or the eye, like the eyebrow, around this area of my face. But it was near the eye hole.
So you're telling me you have a psychological aversion to baby bottle pops because of a bee?
I mean, I don't see them get triggered. I see it get angry. Yeah, it's like it's
that's getting angry is still a triggering response.
It's a core memory. How about that? It's probably one of my earliest
if
memories.
That's your core memory, my God, we have a lot to talk about.
One of my core memories.
Will had a tough childhood. Punctured eardrums, stung by bees in the eye.
Selectively mute. Yeah,
I was a selective mute. I had warts. Oh my God, the warts. So a few years later.
It's like a miracle. You made it, man.
Dude, a few
still here.
it is a fucking
started
miracle.
from the bottom. And
Not only that,
I'm
I'm successful, which is the craziest thing.
Who would have known?
But the same place where the bee bit me or stung me, I got a wart on my eyelid. Imagine that.
Wart?
A wart.
Are you sure you weren't stung, dude?
No, because this was years later. So I had warts.
Oh, okay.
I had wart on my middle finger, underneath the nail. You can still kind of see where it was. It's just gone now, obviously. Another one on the second joint of my ring finger. One on my pinky by the nail, and 2 under the nails on my thumbs.
What did you do? Were you playing with like shit as a child? Like what were you doing?
I have no idea. It's like 3rd and 4th grade. I have no idea. So, as you pick at them, they spread through contact.
Yeah.
So I got them under my thumbnails from picking at them, and I got it on my eyelid from rubbing my eye.
So yeah, the more you contact with yourself,
right.
the more.
And how old were you?
This is probably between 2nd and 5th or 6th grade. And like we
you could have did better, man. You out here spreading the shit.
They
over here thinking you're like 6.
Dude,
you know what I'm saying? You like a whole 12 years old, man. Stop picking them, bro.
I'm a full-grown kid, dude. I can't help it. I got fucking. Imagine talking to people with warts in your hand. I put Band-Aids and duct tape over them, trying to make them go away. So
I can see why you were a selective mute because people were selectively talking to you.
I was talking by then. I was selectively ignored. Right, but they had these creams to put on them to try and make them go away. And as the cream went harden, you'd pick at them, make them go away. And
Well, so it was like trying to freeze it so it wouldn't move and it would just kind of like fall
I don't
off?
know why they just didn't freeze them. I don't fucking know why. Maybe because it was too close to the nail. But
Probably.
I had to put the cream on my eyelid for the wart, and I almost went blind because the shit got my eye. Like one day my eye was just blood red. My mom was like, "What the fuck? We're going to the doctor." Like
I feel like your mom like really had a handful with you, man.
Yeah.
I've heard too many stories of injuries.
See,
My God, did you put icy hot on your thighs?
You know
too?
about
Did
you know that he
make
punctured
mistake?
his eardrum 3 times
in 2 years.
In 3 times in 2. That how can you still hear?
I'll send you the clip from last
Why
week.
are you in audio? Why are you in like an audio platform?
Dude, my ears ring all the time. Tinnitus is real. Let me tell you something, brother. All right?
Let me tell you.
Tinnitus is not something you fuck around with, all right? But yeah, honestly, that's why I have to time I do a podcast with 1 ear in, 1 ear out, so I can have at least one good ear for the rest of my life.
You are literally the embodiment of left ear from the Italian Job.
Yeah.
You are Mos Def. Congratulations.
I'll take it. I'm a big fan of
Mos
Mos Def.
Def.
Most definitely.
Mighty Mos.
Mighty Mos.
The
Yeah.
greatest lyricist ever.
I'm a medical mystery. That's for sure. I think that was one of our King's Rings episode titles, Ricky. I'm a medical mystery.
It might have been. Probably when you were hosting the show.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was definitely. It was one of the earlier days. That might have been just been a me and Dave episode.
Probably was.
Yeah. But all right, guys, I think that is a good place to wrap it up. We've been going for an hour 10, about an hour 5 minutes, which is pretty much right where our sweet spot is. So, Ricky, thanks for coming on the show. I hope you had a fun time. It was great. I hope it was everything you thought it would be.
It was all that and more, William.
So my my policy is once a quarter, and I think the 4th quarter starts in like 3 days. We'll see you next week. I think Q4 starts next week, so it is once a quarter. So technically, the quarter restarts like next
There
week,
we go.
so it
Just-
resets.
Just do it snake style. Just have,
Yeah.
have the last guy be the first.
Wait, Will, you gotta he gets to ask one.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The final question always goes to the guest. So, Ricky, there's ever been a question you wanted to ask me? Now is the time.
Oh man!
Yeah,
Is there
I
ever-
put people on the spot. So I put people on the spot for on purpose because I like to say they actually listen to the podcast before they get on here. If they if they come by surprise, that means they didn't listen to it. So
Oh yeah, you're right. I have not listened
that's
to it at all.
okay.
I'll be
You can,
completely honest.
since I put you on the spot, you can always plead the 5th, and we'll do it next time.
I'm not gonna plead the 5th. It
I
makes it seem
know.
like I'm guilty.
Think of a question.
I think that makes you think of Dave Chappelle's like I plead the 5th.
Yeah, Fizz-if.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote Thriller. So it can be a random question, personal question, sports question, my mom question, any.
Okay,
mom
all right. About your mom. All right. I think I have one for you, which will be thought provoking. It'll probably it will go down a treasure trove. But what is the issue with being woke?
Oh, Bill Burr just did a funny thing on this.
Inherently, there isn't one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the idea of being woke is being sensitive, right? It's the idea of looking out for others from someone else's perspective, right? The ideas of being woke, the principle is in the right place. The heart is in the right place. The ideas are in the right place. However, where it goes wrong is when it's insanely forced and it gets into crazy, crazy town land.
Do you think so? Would you agree that there's a possibility that people can be over woke?
Absolutely. It's the same with anything, right? Like you can radicalize anything.
People tend to call those people liberals. You know.
Yeah.
Over woke?
I mean extreme liberal, not just regular.
Oh,
liberals.
okay.
Yeah. Like being woke isn't like being generically woke isn't
like
bad.
the president had a cheeseburger. Like that's too much.
Like in certain circumstances, I consider myself woke about certain things, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you can drink too much of your own Kool-Aid, right? You can
And get diabetes.
Exactly.
Diabetes.
You can try and change the
Love that
world for
commercial.
good so hard, you end up making it worse. And I think that's where a lot of the woke ideology tends to go. It's just, but those are just very few and far between. And those crazy people have the loudest voice because that's what gets attention on social media.
Polarizing, polarizing things.
And that works both ways. Like you could, I don't know what the term is for woke on the far right, Nationalist. Nationalist. We'll go with nationalist.
Fascist.
Right?
I guess that's good. That's good.
Let's go with nationalist, right? You can love your. There's nothing wrong with loving your country. I think nationalism is a good thing, just like I think being woke is a good thing. But you can go too far to the point is you're changing history.
See, but
saying
for the far right
and change history.
For the far right, for it to be nationalist or fascist, like I get what you're saying, but that's the opposite of sensitivity. That's the opposite of inclusion. So I don't know if that would be the opposite. Because being woke is being sensitive to everybody.
I was taking the idea of something that gets taken too far, but is inherently a good thing. Right? It's like nationalist isn't the exact opposite of woke. I would say the Klan is the opposite of woke.
Yes, right?
Yes, they are. Genuine Nazis, right? That's the opposite of woke.
Oh, you're saying opposite, not synonymous.
But woke is a circle, right? You can go too far and end up right back where you started. No, you can go so far woke to the point where you're no longer tolerant. You're very intolerant. Like
because you're criticizing every single possible thing.
No, it's just like we only accept you if you believe what I believe, and what you believe is woke and for the sake of the betterment. Like that can go too far.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. I don't think woke is actually a belief. When you look at woke, what does woke mean? I mean, woke also comes from African American vernacular English. Some people call it slang.
That is true. I learned that recently. I was shocked.
African American vernacular English is slang? Is that when I used it on the podcast?
You didn't know that. You didn't know that woke came from black people?
I didn't know that woke came from black culture. I thought that was like
Bill Burr does a whole stand up about it. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and so being woke is, and you would probably know, Christian, not because you're black, but also because you're black. But But in African American vernacular English and slang, we're very literal about our stuff. We're like, if you're paying attention to how we speak, you'll understand us. If you really pay attention, being woke just means being awake, being aware,
having your eyes open,
your eyes open. Hence, I'm woke. I am awake. Right. Would you rather be woke or would you rather be sleeping? I would probably choose to be aware.
It's like what would not be woke would be people that say racism doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you encounter someone, it's like, no, racism does exist. And let's say they're from a background that isn't traditionally oppressed, and they're like, yeah, racism exists. I'll give you a couple examples. Or they'll be like, white privilege is real. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's an example of like, okay, that's woke.
Yeah. That's woke. It just means being aware. And I think
understanding.
I think people try to take something so simple as a concept as woke, or as simple as the concept of Black Lives Matter, for instance. Like, take something so simple and try to make it this complex thing when it's not really supposed to be that complex.
Yeah.
It just means stay woke, stay aware.
Yeah.
Like Will, I could probably tell you, like, if you were walking, through Jersey City at night, be like, Will, stay woke. That could also just mean stay aware and be fucking safe.
Yeah, be aware of your surroundings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. different contexts.
Different contexts, but yeah.
But still a similar... similar meaning.
All right, so
stay aware.
So I'll say there's nothing wrong with being aware, right? Period.
Yeah.
As I said, in the general principle, what that is correct. There's nothing wrong with being woke. How you respond to that awareness, and how you act on that awareness is where problems arise, or solutions, and it's also where solutions arise,
and also where solutions happen too.
Yeah, and it's just like we as individuals, we as Americans, we as a society need to figure out where those middle grounds are and where those ideas can meet in the middle and push forward. And you don't get that through censoring and silencing, which is what people consider themselves woke, which is, again, mislabeled by your definition, one I agree with, are wrong. And so, they definitely are. It's definitely a word that lost its meaning.
I see what you're saying when you say people go. It opens the door to going to extremes and turning.
It opens the door to
because if you have understanding, if you have a certain, let's say, popular understanding, when you get to criticizing people who don't have that same understanding, then that's when it's probably going too far. Because it's like, what understanding?
Yeah,
it's like
we have a lot.
What does awake mean?
Or being aware, yeah.
What aware of what? You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh well, your awareness is different from my awareness.
Yeah, and that's not always
my perception of what's going on. And I'm saying that isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that's why I disagree with cancel culture, because it doesn't let people be woke. It shuts out other perspectives, no matter what the perspective
See,
is.
I would say that's very not woke.
It's
to,
very
to
not
cancel
woke.
People.
It's literally the definition of not being woke.
Well,
It
yeah.
is.
I mean, I wouldn't group those people as woke at all.
No, but
People that are
but the
canceling
thing is,
people.
they call themselves woke, which is crazy.
It happens.
It happens.
It
Yeah,
happens. Everybody wants to hop on the bandwagon.
It's a case by case. It's a case by case example.
It's
It is a
definitely
case by case example,
It's
and I think
1,000% a case by case.
yeah, and I think a lot
Especially
of
with like Twitter.
Yeah.
yeah.
People go
Although
wild.
I love the cesspool that is Twitter. I don't care. I love the calamity that goes on there.
Dude, I've been loving our TikTok comments. So here's what I do with TikTok comments. I like all of them, whether it's good or bad. I like every single comment because it helps with the algorithm. That's really why.
Yeah.
And if you engage with my account, whether it's a like, follow, comments, whatever, I don't care what you said, what you did, or what you didn't do. I'm following you, and that's you're private and you deny me, which happens all the time.
Sure.
But I engage because if you support this channel, I'm gonna follow you in hopes you follow back in hopes for the algorithm, right? My follow feed is literally just I go through. I just swipe and I like. I swipe and I like. On one sitting, I don't do 2 accounts because that looks spammy, right? But it's just, it's like I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care what the account is. I just want the engagement and hoping you engage with me back to grow the channel.
But that's what social media is.
Yeah, so it's not real. So it's like I engage by not engaging.
I mean, they say that's one of the best strategies is just engage with people.
Yeah.
In your network,
Or
like something, comment on something, try to make
that's how you
try to make
yeah.
it genuine. Don't be like a spam bot where you're like, nice shirt, and it's like a picture of like a guitar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I create a dummy account which is just for commenting. It doesn't follow anybody other than APS. It's a picture of me with my name, and I use it only for commenting because I don't want APS to be commenting on anything that's controversial or could be deemed as controversial.
Sure.
So I speak as myself. So which is why I would comment on your post, Ricky, comments under me and not APS. But yeah.
It's one of those things where things get misinterpreted, but I think it speaks, especially cancel culture, speaks to a grander issue that I see a lot in psychology, and mental health as well. And it's an issue for a lot of people just from a social perspective, whether it's on social media or in real life. A lot of people listen. A lot of people listen, but they're not hearing what's being said. And a lot of people are listening to react instead of listening to understand. And more people listen to understand, we'd be in a lot better place. I think in a lot of different situations.
I think cancel culture is, like you said, it also extends to real life. There's just, you could be, never speak to people ever, again. Well, and maybe not for like the most legitimate reason, but people cut people off. I call it virtually killing people.
Yeah.
When you go on social media and you block somebody, I call that.
Or you defriend them.
Defriend them.
Yeah.
Maybe all platforms. I call that virtually killing someone.
Well, actually, Ricky,
sometimes it works.
Ricky, I have a side question for you, actually.
Sure.
So, what I'm seeing in social media and in relation to real life or any form of internet, it's that. Like you used to say, oh, you would never say that to me in real life. Like you read a comment and go, oh, they would never say it's face to face.
Oh yeah, internet soldiers.
Yeah, but you know what?
Social media warriors.
I feel like we're getting to the place where no, they're gonna start saying it in real life.
It's already happening.
It's already happening. So from a psych perspective, how is the psychology of how people react on the internet bleeding into and meshing in how people interact in real life?
Well, when people are reacting on the internet, and getting really ballsy on the internet, it's because you can be anybody you want on the internet. You don't have to be that real person.
Correct.
You can be whoever you want. You can be this character. Like I could be King Rickie Rozay on the internet. I'm not. Like what you hear from me is going to be me. Regardless, it's probably going to be how I feel. A good thing, a lot of my social media is just about jokes and being stupid most of the time. Unless I'm in my feelings about something, I need something to be said. I'll say that verbatim. But I think it got to a point, where a lot of things happened where there was a big movement of you should be the same person you are in real life as you are on social media. There was a little bit of that movement going on, and for a lot of times, especially with the people who start becoming really outlandish, there is a motivation from somebody that they admire, from somebody in a in an understood authority figure that says, no, you could be able to say what you want or do whatever the hell you want. Who's going to stop you? It's a free country. Right. As for example, when Trump got into power as president, there appeared to be a giant influx of people essentially, quote unquote, coming out of the woodwork and saying all this wild shit that you'd never heard before. You're like, Grandma, what?
Yeah, the assholes had a figure. They felt safe. They felt safe to come out.
They felt safe. They felt protected. They said the man in charge told us we can say all these things and it'll be okay. So it's going to be okay. So a lot of the time when people start coming out of the woodwork, it's because some sort of perceived authority figure or someone that they have given power to, to influence them, gives them that, kind of transient power to do it because so-and-so did it. So I can do it as well.
Right. And let me pause you right there. I would much rather those people be exposed in the light than hide and not know about them in the dark.
Yes. What comes to dark will always come to light.
It's more important that they are
we need to know who they are.
You need to know who they are, and you need to know what they're saying, and you need to know how to combat their bullshit.
Correct.
And you can't do that by keeping them in the dark and pushing them underground.
I agree.
That just causes more problems. And you're like, oh, wait, January 6th happened? How'd this happen? Well, you would have seen it coming if you didn't push them underground. or if you were the FBI.
And sometimes they are deliberately underground.
Yes.
And they are deliberately, hiding things and planning things, which was part of a January 6th. But
like the FBI.
Well, and some of them were blatantly obvious about it, and we just ignored it.
Like the FBI.
Oh, you crazy person.
You said like the FBI.
Like the FBI. The FBI knew about 9/11, so did CIA, all right? They fucking knew about it and let it happen.
CIA knows about a lot of stuff we don't know about.
I think it was an intelligence blunder.
Well, they didn't communicate with each other. That's
right.
Why
the right hand was not talking to the left hand.
Well, the right hand doesn't talk to the left ever. That's the big problem.
Yeah, and I also think
that's a whole other conversation, a whole other podcast.
Yeah, it's a whole other. It's deeper than just them not talking to each other. I think there was a lot more involved.
Yeah.
In it.
But yeah, I am generally concerned about the craziness of social media. It is slowly and now more quickly bleeding into real life, and people need to remember that. Listen, social media isn't real. It's not real. How I present myself on TikTok may or may not be how I am in real life. It depends on the circumstance, right? Yeah. But when I'm behind this microphone, I am at a heightened state. My senses are already at 11, so it comes out at me at 11, right? And how I talk on here is different than how I'll talk in private because in private, I'm more relaxed. I'm more calm. It's more sociable.
So he's not always screaming, guys.
I'm not always.
No, he's not.
Well,
contrary to popular opinion.
Well, I mean, but like even so, like people who the craziest people. The algorithms also push the crazy because people like to see crazy. Like no one,
if you
no one cares about the normal middle.
If you start liking crazier things,
especially on YouTube.
Yep.
You could like look up a conspiracy theory and
next thing
and just let autoplay go.
Oh, it's awesome.
And before you know
it's awesome.
Before you know it, your JFK's alive. The moon landing wasn't real.
The moon's
flat.
You know,
the moon is flat.
The world's flat.
No. The moon's not flat. I mean, the Earth's not flat. That's the moon that's flat.
No, there's a whole group of people that think the Earth is flat.
No, dude, the Earth.
Kyrie Irving.
The Earth's actually.
Kyrie Irving thinks the Earth is flat.
The Earth's actually a trapezoid and made of a giant boombox.
I do follow a TikTok called I do follow like a factual scientific TikTok called Interstellar News, and it has some wild
yeah, dude, it's pretty crazy
revelations about the galaxy. I'm just like, Jesus, this is crazy. For instance, like if you look at an actual picture of the galaxy, all the galaxies are connected in a way that it looks like a brain. It looks like neurons in a brain.
Oh my god, don't be telling me that.
Oh man.
So like I watched that, I was going, wait a minute. And I got a high idea, but I don't smoke, but like I was like, what if we're just a piece of a higher being's brain?
Well, there's entire theories that's saying that we're in a holographic universe.
Also, as well, there's also
like backed up by renowned physicists, that also believe like Nobel Prize winning physicists that think that
and multiversal theory was
exactly. So and they said that the equation for the cosmos is actually similar. It's the same equation.
It's 22, I believe.
They say
if you read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
it's the same equation for the cosmos is the same as internet search engines.
That's
and they're like, yeah, we might just be in like a computer, like simulation, holographic thing from a higher dimension.
Listen, Men in Black tried to tell us at the end of all of their movies that we were just a small little piece of the world. Like, you should have paid attention.
Yep.
But the rabbit hole goes deep. If you let that autoplay go, ooh, you'll start believing.
The thing that keeps me up at night is that if the Earth just exploded tomorrow, everything that ever happened never happened.
That's a good one. I have another one that'll keep you up.
Is that like if the tree falls and you didn't hear it?
No,
like,
no, that's not. That's philosophical.
There's no recorded history of it. It's gone. There's no one left to find it.
There's no recorded history of anything.
As far as we know, if there were aliens that visited, then there might be something.
Unless we've been observed already, which it's totally possible.
Totally
That's
possible.
what I'm saying.
But as far as we know, if the Earth explodes tomorrow, anything that ever happened never happens.
You want to have another one that will keep you up at night for a while?
Please, I'll be on the toilet.
It's really simple. The brain named itself.
I hate you.
Oh,
You son of a
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, you're gonna go for a loop. You're gonna be in a loop for a long time.
The brain.
Man, somebody put me on some stuff, man. I got some wild things floating around in my head too.
The brain named itself. All right, boys. It's a perfect place to end. Ricky, Chris, load a camera on Ricky. Ricky, all the plugs, King's Wings podcast, your bar, anything you want to plug.
Oh my God. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is King Rickie Rozay. You can find me at Ambassador Biggs across all social media outlets, BIGZ Ambassador Biggs on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, some people's DMs, less people's text messages. BIGZ Ambassador Biggs is the one for you, Will. Find my other podcast at Wrestle Addict Radio. That's where you're going to listen to it wherever you're listening to any of your podcasts. Wrestle Addict Radio. Find Wrestle Addict Radio's social media at addict_wrestle on Twitter and Wrestle Addict Radio everywhere else. You can find me each and every week on King's Rings podcast along with Mr. Will Tarashok Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. If you want to listen to us, if you don't want to watch us live, the replay will always be up on YouTube and on Twitch. But if you want to listen to us, you can follow us at KOTR_podcast across all social media. We really would like the likes and the follows and all of that fun stuff because we're actually kind of growing on YouTube, which is good. I also, if you go to any of my social media pages, I also have my own personal podcast called Tales of an Epic Nature, as well as my own personal blog as well. It's on a link tree on all of my social media accounts. My personal blog is something that Will took this from. It's called Ambiguous.
Thank you for the name, by the way. Ambiguous
You're
Tales
welcome.
of an Epic Nature.
Yes. So that's pretty much all of my plugs. So yeah, check out my latest TikTok because apparently I look like Keith Lee, ironically enough.
Yep.
Yep. Someone commented like, "Oh, you thought it was Keith Lee for a second." I was like, "God, I had a time."
Like, bro, it is. Fuck Swerve. That's what you should have
said. I should.
All right, Christian, over to you, my friend.
Cube Recording Studios. Cube Recording Studios handles the audio, the video. We can do it all. As you can see, we're live on all the platforms. Thanks to Will, live streaming, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of the things. We're out here. You can catch us every Monday night going live now. It's going to be fun. Unknown, Unnamed Nonsense segment on Talking with Tarashuk. Look us up. Back to you, Will.
And ladies and gentlemen, my name is Will Tarashuk. That's T as in Thomas, ARASHUK. This podcast, this version of the podcast might be on a bit of a hiatus, Christian, because me and you got some work to do with our Podcasting 101 series. So that is going to be some work. We'll talk more about that later in the week and going into next coming weeks. But all the clips, I still have some clips to post with Zach, some clips to post with Christopher, and some clips to post from this podcast. There's going to be a lot of them because we went an hour and a half tonight. So check all those out on TikTok. We are 22% of the way towards our goal. That is 1,000 followers to go live. And once that happens, this show's going to blow the fuck up. And I cannot wait to blow up with all of you because this earth is going to end. We're all going to die. Jason Thomas, ARASHUK. If you want to be a guest like my friend Ricky, email me, will@apspodcast.com. Let me know why. I will get you on. This week, I'm also talking to an author about the World Cup, talking about soccer and language. In November, I got someone on, a financial planner, so I can't wait to talk about him and ask us why the economy is a lie. So that's going to be a lot of fun coming up. It's will@apspodcast.com to be a guest. If you want to ask your own questions, put them in the chat, put them anywhere. DM me on social media, at Talk with Tarashuk. Anywhere podcast can be found, or APS Podcasts on Twitter. I'll be back next time with, I don't know, we'll see. But I'll see you then. And until then, y'all take care. And Christian, throw the logo. and stop the stream this time. All right. Perfect.
Is it going to